Hi everyone. I'm glad to be with you today, even though I am away on Father's Day on vacation. I'm so happy to have a chance to speak with you about fatherhood, about the meaning of fatherhood and what God would intend for us to have as fathers. And I would encourage everyone here to take this message and use some of the ideas in their own life or help to teach others what it means to be fathers. Now, here we are in our old house and in front of a mantle in front of our fireplace, one of the 7 fireplaces in this house. The mantle itself reminds me of so much. It reminds me of how many people have decorated the mantle. In the old days, they would light candles to light up the house so that you could have light in the dark days and the dark nights. This mantle has seen many things happen, including family gatherings at Christmas time, Easter time, baptisms, weddings, funerals. Everything has happened in this room. This room has been part of this house since 1820, and it's an incredible thought that so much has happened here for so many families. Father's Day is about families. The picture behind me is about families as well. This picture is one that Joanne's great-grandfather built a frame for because he wanted to enhance the household and improve the look of the living room in that farmhouse that they lived with in New Denmark, New Brunswick. This picture tells me a lot about how families are meant to care for each other. And even as her grandfather was working in a lumber mill, he was cutting this wood, thinking about how he could frame this picture for the family. Here we are, thinking about family, thinking about the power of God in family, and thinking about how we can best make family happen as fathers. I have 3 points today I'm going to share with you. 1, 2, and 3. Now I have a treat for you. I would like to share the first 2 points with you out in my garden. Well, here we are in the backyard where Samuel Norris in 1750 began gardening and farming. He had a milk cow, he had some hens laying eggs, and he had a garden where he grew his vegetables. Now, to make sure that the vegetables would grow well, for over 250 years, they have made sure that the soil here is as good as it possibly could be. Joanne and I always make sure our soil is good before we plant our vegetable garden. In fact, I'll show you our earth here. We have some earth here, and it has to have a good amount of fiber in it. It has to be able to be loose enough so that the water can drain from it, and yet not so loose that it drains all away that you have nothing that keeps water by the roots of your plants. Good soil is imperative to make a garden grow. And you have to be committed to making it happen, or it will not happen. And so we prepare our soil well. In fact, we always say it's important to get the soil just right before we do anything else in the garden. It's very important, if we're going to have a good family and see good things happen for our children, that what happens is a commitment to excellence, a commitment to being the best father you possibly can be. Putting it in your mind, I am going to be one fantastic father. And it all starts off with making sure that your relationship with your wife is of the toppest quality possible. Because when you do it as a team, when you have this love for each other, it shows the children what love and relationships are all about. It's important to prepare the soil of life for your child, and how you live together, how you treat each other, is how the children will treat other people as well. How they will treat women, the men treat the women, how the women treat the men, and it is modeling, and is modeling again. If we don't have a father figure in our lives, if we are single and when we don't have a man in the house, then it's important to find a surrogate father figure in some way, a grandfather, a neighbor, an uncle, a cousin, someone who's trustworthy to share with your children what it means to be a man man who's able to exemplify what a man really does and how he lives his life. It is so important for us to be committed as families to giving great father figures for our children. So the first thing is commitment. The second thing is to provide constant care. You don't stop caring for your child. You don't stop caring in any kind of way for your child. You make sure that your child really does know that there is a constant, ongoing care for them. They cannot get anything in their lives if they don't have that constant care. This garden would not function without constant care. For example, we're standing beside a rose bush. If we don't pick off the dead buds, this rose bush will stop blooming if we don't ensure that it gets cared for. If we don't make sure that there's fertilizer in the ground during the summer, if we don't weed, this rose bush simply will get choked out by weeds, or it won't produce blossoms. It is absolutely critical that constant care happens. God says to us, I will be with you always, even to the end of the age. We have to make sure that our children know that we will be with them constantly, no matter what, no matter what. Constant commitment, consistency is critical to be a great father. Well, now we'll go back into the house and share some more. The third point is this: presence. The importance of presence. It is a known fact amongst people who work with families that without the presence of father in the home, we're asking for huge issues. President Barack Obama set a commission up talking about how the importance of fatherhood in our nation for the sake of healthy families. We know from the viewpoints of psychologists and counselors that present fathers make a huge difference in the lives of their families. The Bible talks about presence. Jesus, who we consider as being the most significant person in our lives, in some ways a father figure, he looks at us and he says, I care for you as much as anyone possibly can. In fact, he follows his disciples, he takes care of them, and when things aren't working with them, for instance, when they weren't catching fish, he said to them from the book of John, John 21, he says to them, look, you haven't caught any fish. Why don't you take your nets and throw them to the right side of the boat, and there you will find some fish. Jesus was present even when it came to fishing. We need to be present as fathers in every little aspect of our children's lives. An absent father is a recipe for destruction. An absent father, even when you're in the home and hide behind a book or work on the computer or get busy fixing the car or doing other things but not being there emotionally present for your child, becomes a dangerous thing. A father who is not active in the life of his child is not affecting his child. And perhaps we have the excuses, I'm making a better living for my child, I'm working on that college fund so that they can indeed make it in this world. But when we're absent, we're taking away from our children the most valuable gift of all, and that is our presence, our interest in them, our participation in every part of their lives. An absent father destroys his family. Absent be it that they're at work, or absent be it that they're at home and involved in their own interests and not focusing upon the family. Fathers, do not be absent. Fathers, sacrifice all those other things that perhaps interest you a lot, activities with your friends or hobbies and other things, for the sake of your child, for the sake of their maturation with your presence there. A present father is also the father that the daughter and son comes to and says, say, Dad, and now they're 18 years old, I have a thought, I have a question. And they're comfortable with the question because they have had you there before. You're not a stranger in their midst. You're not something new. You're not a new entity. They know what chair you sit in. They know how to approach you because they've been approaching you since they were small. A present father is critical for the life of their child and the well-being of their child. It is so important as we think about our fatherhood to take all these points we've spoken about and wrap them all up with one thing, and that is to give our children an amazing love. Not just some love, not just I will love you when you do well in school or when you seem to do good in your sports. No, an amazing love, a love that transcends their successes, a love that transcends their failures, a love that transcends all things, even transcends your moods and your moments, a love that is amazing. The same love that God has for us, an amazing love, a forgiving love, a love that says, you are mine, no matter what happens, you're mine. And so our children also need to know, you are mine, no matter what happens, you are mine. And that amazing love is what's going to help our children as we work through our lives with a great sense of commitment to our children, giving them a great sense of our presence, but wrapping everything up with an amazing love will really be the best gift you can give them in their entire lives. And that's what a father does. And God's people say, Amen. I'm so happy to have been able to share this Father's Day message with you. And I look very much forward to being back with you in person next week.